Hey everybody, what's up, and welcome to another Sims 4 house building video. In today's video, I am so excited to be bringing you guys yet another build from the world of Bridgerton. Yes, this is the second house that I am building from Netflix's Bridgerton. If you saw one of my more recent videos, I built the Bridgerton family home from the show, and I really had the best time building it, and you guys have really responded well to it. So of course I'm going to beat this dead horse, and I am going to continue to build houses from Bridgerton because you guys seem to enjoy them and I like building them, so why not? And this house, like I said, is Lady Danbury's house from the show, and it is a very grand, typical English, not typical, this is far from typical. This is a very grand English estate house, and as far as I know, the exterior of this house is in fact a real place. I believe that a lot of the exterior shots in the show are done on location with real buildings, but nevertheless, this is a very grand estate house in a very, I believe, Georgian themed. I know that someone corrected me in my last Bridgerton video when I said that the house was Georgian, or that the show was set in a Georgian period, and not gonna lie, complete mind wipe, I don't remember what they said. I did Google it and they were right, and I can't remember now what it said, but anyway, I'm not gonna say that this is Georgian because I don't know, but it's a very old, grand house, and I'm really enjoying building in this style. It is very, very different for me. I don't often build things like this, but I've really been enjoying it, and I am definitely building one more build from Bridgerton. I intend to build the Featherington house next, and I think with that, that'll be the end of my little Bridgerton mini-series. I don't want to beat the dead horse too much, but I will definitely beat it a little bit. But anyway, I've had such fun building these houses. I'm such a massive fan of Bridgerton, so already I was enjoying myself building them, but you guys have also, for some reason, really liked my first Bridgerton build, so I'm definitely going to continue doing it because you guys like it, I like it, why not? This house was honestly easier than the Bridgerton house on the exterior and much harder than the Bridgerton house on the interior. The exterior of this house I am so proud of. I think it looks really accurate to the show, which I can't often say. Sometimes I get things pretty close, sometimes I get things really off the mark, but this one in particular I think is pretty spot on, if I do say so myself. I am very proud of how this one turned out. It took me a long time, definitely not as long as the Bridgerton house. That one I think I had over 8 hours of footage, plus time off camera that I didn't record building that house. This one, I think I did record everything while I was building, and I think it came out to around 5.5, 6 hours, which is significantly shorter than the Bridgerton house, but it was definitely a challenge. It was a challenge nonetheless, but I really enjoyed building the exterior of this house. I think it came out really cute. It's not the biggest house in the world. It's obviously huge. It's definitely very stately, but when translated into The Sims, it's not huge. I've definitely built bigger, like the Bridgerton house, like the house from American Horror Story or from Call Me By Your Name or whatever. I've definitely done houses that are bigger than this, but this one, I think it just translates well into The Sims. I don't know why. I used a lot of debug, like what I'm doing here on the roof with this kind of roof accent. It's very similar to something that I did in the first Bridgerton house video. But yeah, I just think that this house is very well suited to The Sims, and I can't often say that, so I just really had fun with this one. The interior of this house is definitely not accurate, like not by a long shot. I didn't even stick to the right color palette while I was doing the interior. I know that Lady Danbury her house is quite a feminine color palette inside. From what I can remember, I think it's a lot of pinks and purples. I, for some reason, went with greens. I don't really know why, but I just did. But the exterior of this house, I am very proud to say, looks very accurate to the show. Now, the back of the house, like with the Bridgerton house, is completely made up. I just didn't have the space to do what needed to be done in the backyard with this house, so I just decided just to kind of make it up. I ended up putting just kind of like a back porch area with there's actually like a wishing well It's not the functional wishing well, it's one that I found in Debug, and I just thought it was cute, so I put it out the back. There's kind of a greenhouse, very small greenhouse, but a greenhouse nonetheless. And yeah, other than that, it's a very, very small backyard to this house. Obviously, in the show, and if this were a real place, the back garden would be very grand. It would look like a castle estate or something, but that's not the case here. Also, I did decide with this one to build in Henford-on-Bagley, which is the world that comes with the cottage living pack. In the Bridgerton house, I decided to build that one in Bridechester, the house that comes with the university pack, and that house definitely fit better in Bridechester. This one in the show is kind of a bit further outside of the city. I think it's still in London, or what London was back then. I don't know where it's meant to be, but it's definitely in a much greener area. There's less houses around it, it's less built up. So I wanted to reflect that in the lot that I chose to build this on. This is, I believe, a 40 by 50 lot. It is quite big, but if you do decide to download this, which you can, my gallery ID will be in the description of this video and in a pinned comment at the top of the comment section. If you want to build this, or if you want to download this and use it in your own save file or whatever, you can definitely just put it in any 40 by 50 lot. And it should work out fairly well. I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the exterior of this house, the only packs you will need. Now, take this with a pinch of salt when I say this, because I do have a lot of the packs and I'm speaking kind of generally here, but based on the exterior of this house and kind of the accent pieces, like these little corner pieces that I'm putting onto the house, and the columns and the windows and all of that, I think the main packs you'll need for this will be the University pack and Jungle Adventure, weirdly enough. There are a lot of great building items from Jungle Adventure that I use a lot, like these stone pieces that I'm putting on the edges of the house, and there's a lot of columns and arches and things like that. I use that pack all the time. I honestly, if you're a big builder in The Sims, I really, really recommend that pack. And other than that, the University pack, and I think those tiles that are on the bottom floor, like the wall tiles or brickwork or whatever it is, I think they're from the high school pack. Again, not entirely sure, take that with a pinch of salt. But if you do download this house and you have those packs, I think you will have most of the exterior of this house. Again, I don't want to say you'll have it all, but you will have most. Also, I think I used, above the windows on the second floor, there's kind of these decorative wall pieces. I think that little fountain piece is from the Vampires pack. So if you have all of those, that list just all of a sudden got very long. I thought I was being helpful listing out like just a couple packs, then it turned into 3 expansions and a game pack. But if you have those, I think you'll be able to download this fairly comfortably, and then maybe you can renovate the interior to suit the packs that you do have, or just do it with base game or whatever, and it should function as normal. Now, the inside of this house, like I was saying, is not the most accurate thing in the world. It's definitely kind of my own creation. I didn't stick too closely to any particular screenshots, just because to be honest, when I was building the Bridgerton house, I very much stuck to screenshots as much as I could, and it became very stressful to build, so I just wanted to have a bit more fun with this one. Now, the main entry hallway that has the staircase in it, I did base that on a screenshot, and that's kind of the only part of the interior that's actually based on the show. Other than that, it's just my own creation, and I am definitely not the best at creating floor plans. I did really struggle with this one. It's such a weird house because it's, like I was saying, it's very big, but in terms of The Sims, it's not huge. So this actually ends up only being a 3-bedroom house. Now, one of the bedrooms is huge, but I definitely could have fit more rooms, but just the way it ended up, I only included 3 bedrooms, and one of them I kind of pictured as being more of like a maid's quarter, so it's kind of a bit smaller, and another one just has 2 small single beds in it. I don't know what that room is meant to be, but that was just kind of what I was running with. But yeah, it's not my finest work on the inside, just being fully honest with you guys, but I definitely still think it's cute. It has the right idea. It's just not terribly accurate to the show, but that was never my intention. My intention was to make the outside look as close as I could to what it is in the show. And I think I achieved that. I'm pretty happy with how the outside of this house turned out. I absolutely love this house. I just think it's so cute. I'd actually love to see it in person. I actually very recently realized that the Bridgerton house is a real house that's in Greenwich in London. And I live in London. I live very close to Greenwich. So I really want to go see it in person. I never knew it was there. I just kind of figured that it was in Bath because I know that a lot of the exterior shots of the show are filmed in Bath, like the main street where the modiste is and all of that. So I was just like, I assumed it was there. But turns out that it's like, I was going to say right down the road for me. It's still like 4 kilometers away, but that's quite close. It's pretty close on the tube. I can get there pretty easily. I'm definitely going to be checking it out. I really want to. I'm such a big fan of Bridgerton. Me and my housemate absolutely love it. We're obsessed with Nicola Coughlan. She is kind of our inspiration. If you didn't know this about me, I'm Irish. I'm an actor, or trying to be an actor. It's a hard industry to get into. We all know that. But seeing someone like Nicola Coughlan, who is from the same part of Ireland that I'm from, we actually went to the same acting school when we were kids. Well, I went when I was a kid and she went when she was a kid. There's an age gap there. So she went there about 10 years before me. But nonetheless, like the fact that even some of my life has overlapped with her is crazy. And now she's like on the biggest show on the planet or whatever. Me and my housemate just really look at her as such an inspiration because I've been friends with my housemate my entire life. We went to the same school and now we're like, oh my God, Nicola got out. Like she did the thing that we're trying to do. And it's just crazy. It's so weirdly encouraging to see someone that is from the same part of the world as you being so successful. It's a very strangely encouraging feeling. So I think that's part of the reason why I hold Bridgerton so close to my heart. It's like, that could be me. It's such a weird thing to say, but I don't know, it's just cool. Nicola Coughlan is just such a big inspiration to me, and I hope that one day I can have half the career she has had. So it's just really cool, and I think that's part of the reason why I fell in love with the show. And then, other than that, the show is just great. I love it. Cannot recommend it enough if you haven't already watched it. It's such an easy watch. It's one of those shows that's just kind of, when someone tells you about it, you think, oh, that's just like a typical, like, Pride and Prejudice type love story. And in a lot of ways, yes, that's true. It is just a typical love story. But in so many other ways, it's not just that. Like, there's so many parts of the show that are heartfelt and warm and gives you that like feeling of real love. It sounds so cringe, but it's just such a loving show. There's so many aspects of it that are just kind of a love letter to the idea of love and romanticism and all of that. And I'm a big hopeless romantic at heart. I absolutely love romance. I love this kind of stuff. I love rom-coms and really stupid TV shows and movies that are based around love, and it's just great. So if you haven't watched Bridgerton, I definitely recommend it. Also, if you have any interest in film or acting or anything like that, it is a great show for production design, for things like implementing music into storytelling and script writing and character acting. It's just great. It's a really well-made show. And if you are familiar with Shonda Rhimes, she's the creator of Grey's Anatomy and How to Get Away with Murder, which, little shameless plug here, I also built the house from that very recently. I will put a card here. Check out that build. But it's from Shonda Rhimes, who is an incredibly talented showrunner and creator. Obviously, the show itself is based off of a series of books, but Shonda Rhimes is the one that brings it to the screen. And she's just incredibly talented. And if you're a fan of her work, you will definitely be a fan of this. One of my favorite things about the show is that they explore things in a very traditional setting, like old Georgian England or whatever it is. I know I got that wrong again, but in a period of time where there weren't people of color or queer people or whatever in the forefront of society. This show does a really beautiful job of exploring what it could have been like if those people weren't ostracized the way they were throughout history. And it's just kind of a very refreshing take on a very traditional idea, like being able to implement queer characters or people of color into traditional storytelling. I love that kind of stuff. And I think Bridgerton is one of the rare examples of where that is done with kind of through the lens of like a love letter to the people that it's trying to represent. It's not like forcing it. It does it naturally, and it never feels gimmicky. Obviously the show is ridiculous, and it's fun, you know, like it's just kind of one of those things that's just a bit of fun, and don't take it too seriously and you'll really love it. And beyond not taking it too seriously, there's very serious themes that are explored, and it's surprisingly thought-provoking. So if you haven't checked out the show and you don't want to listen to me ramble about it anymore, definitely check it out on your own. It is definitely worth a watch. I cannot recommend it enough. I tell everyone that hasn't seen it to watch it because I think everyone can get something out of it. Again, like I said, even if you think it's not for you, I promise you it is. But anyway, needless to say, I am not sponsored by Bridgerton. This house is not brought to you by Bridgerton. This is just a fanboy building a house based on a show in The Sims, and it just gives me an excuse to talk about one of my favorite shows. But anyway, back to this build. As you can see, it's kind of coming together. This area where the staircase is the part of the build that I was saying is kind of the only part that's based on the show. Everything else is kind of just my own imagination. I kind of just made everything up, and just off of this, there is a pretty large kitchen and a pretty nice dining room. If I do say so myself, I love to compliment myself while I'm doing these. But yeah, there is a pretty large kitchen and dining room. Like a kitchen and then a separate dining room, because it's still, I wanted to keep that very formal feeling. And there was a lot of things in this house that I definitely based on the Bridgerton house. Like some of the ideas of having these like console tables with lamps on them and a big picture above it and flowers everywhere, and things that I did in the Bridgerton house that were definitely based on the show, I wanted to bring into this build, because if I wasn't going to entirely base this perfectly on the show, I wanted to at least have some inspiration from the show to place throughout the build, just to give that feeling of Bridgerton. So if you have both of these builds downloaded and in your game, and if you're playing with them, I wanted them to feel somewhat similar. So that's kind of what I tried to do. I wanted to kind of keep that cohesive theme of this very particular style without sticking directly to the show. So for some reason, I went with more of a green theme. You can see some of it here in the kitchen. The oven is green. Some of the chairs in the like island chairs are green. And it's definitely a more muted color palette than what I believe is actually in Lady Danbury's house in the show. Like I was saying, she's definitely more reds, pinks, purples, those kind of hues. But I just went with greens. I don't know why. Again, no idea. But it's just what I did. This kitchen, I'm definitely happier with this than I was with the Bridgerton house kitchen. If you watch that video, I did mention in that video that I wasn't happy with that kitchen. So when I was building this one, I was like, okay, I need to go in with at least something of a better idea of what I want it to be. And I definitely think this one turns out cuter. It's definitely a big kitchen. I think it's more suited to the style of the kitchen is more suited to this house and this period of time. And I included this massive dining room table in it, but this isn't obviously the main dining room. I kind of figured that this would be where they might lay out things like flowers or morning tea or things that they're prepping to put into the rest of the house. I kind of thought that's where they might do that. I don't know. This is kind of what I do when I'm playing The Sims. I like to try to imagine what the people living here would do if this was a real house. And I feel like a giant table like that would be really useful in a house like this for prepping meals for like diplomatic guests or wealthy visitors or whatever. I just think spaces like that make a lot of sense in these kind of houses. So that's what I wanted to include. Also, I did put in one of the bathrooms just off the kitchen. I think in the end, this house has 4, maybe 5 bathrooms, I think, which is weird because the bathrooms outnumber the bedrooms, which I always think is a weird thing when I do that in my builds. And I've seen houses like that in real life, and I always think that's so strange. I'm like, if you're a 1-bedroom house, why do you need more than 1 bathroom? There can't be more than a couple of people here. Like, why do you need more than 1 bathroom? I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but anyway, I think this ends up having 5 bathrooms. There's 2 on the ground floor, I think 1 on the 2nd floor, and then 2 on the top floor, I think. I think there's a main bathroom on the top floor, and then there's kind of an ensuite off of the main bedroom. The ensuite up there is really weird. I don't really know what I did with that. You'll see it when we get there, but it's definitely different for me. But anyway, other than the bathrooms, like you can see here, I'm working on a bit of a greenhouse. This is something that I did in the Bridgerton house as well. I had a lot of extra space in that house, and I just wanted to fill rooms with different things. But obviously, because these houses are from a very particular period in history, I can't do what I normally do in empty houses and fill it with like a gym or a cinema room or something. Like if I'm building a giant house and the house is modern, I can fill the rooms with whatever I want. But in something like this, I didn't really know what to fill the empty rooms with. So I started doing these like garden rooms that are kind of conservatory, greenhouse style with like indoor planter boxes and things like that. And I think it's a good use of the space. And across the hall from that, which I'm working on now, is kind of the main office. Again, like I was saying earlier, I didn't include any kind of computer or anything like that just because I wanted to stick with that idea of this being a very old house. So it's a very simple office. Again, if you download this, you can definitely add those things. But just while I was building it, for the sake of consistency, I decided not to include those. And here I'm moving on to the dining room. This dining room, I think, is really cute. It came together really quick. Like, I think the footage for this section was about 5 minutes, which is rare for me. It's rare that I put something together so quickly. Obviously, it is only a few seconds here because it's sped up by 500%, if you were wondering. That's how quick I make my videos. I increased them by 500%. I used to do 600, but someone said that they got dizzy watching my videos, and looking back, I can definitely see why. So I have slowed down my speed builds a little bit. You might have even noticed that some of my videos have gotten longer, and that's because they're not as sped up. But what was I talking about? I don't even know. I was talking about the dining room and somehow I got onto 500% speed. That's what I feel like I'm talking at sometimes when I'm making these. This is the second voiceover that I've done in a row. I literally finished the Bob's Burgers voiceover just before this. If you haven't seen that video, again, I'll leave a card here. I built the house from Bob's Burgers, and I immediately finished that voiceover, and for some reason thought it was a great idea to go straight into another one. So that's what I'm doing. So apologies if this is a bit all over the place. It definitely is. All of my voiceovers are kind of all over the place, but I'm really pushing myself to get content out for you guys, because obviously you guys want to watch me for some reason. So I want to make sure that I'm putting out content on a semi-regular basis. So this is just when I had the free time. I had a couple of builds ready, and I wanted to make sure that I had the voiceovers ready for you guys so I can upload them over the next couple of weeks. But if you're thinking to yourself, this voiceover is all over the place, you're right. You are right to think that, but that is just why. I just thought I would explain myself a bit on that. Anyway, back to the build, which I should be talking about, but for some reason I'm not. This room is kind of the main drawing room. I've also heard these called a withdrawing room. So maybe drawing room is just like an abbreviation of that. I don't know, but I've heard both. I'm going to call it a drawing room. In the show, again, this is kind of more pinks and red themed with some purple tones and things like that. I went with green. Don't know why, but I just did. And again, I like this room. It's just not terribly accurate to the show. I think it's fine. I did something similar that I did in the Bridgerton house. I included kind of a music area and kind of a painting studio in the corner. Because again, I want these houses to be functional. If you download these builds, I want you to be able to play with them. And I think including things like musical instruments or a painting easel or chess tables or whatever, it just makes it easier to immediately be able to jump into playing the game once you've downloaded one of these houses. I don't want you guys to have to go through and place a bunch of items that you might need for Sims gameplay or whatever. So that's kind of my intention with including items like that. Anyway, on to this bedroom, which is the primary bedroom. It's also the only bedroom, I believe, that I include in the speed build. This is what I imagine Lady Danbury's bedroom would be. If you've watched Queen Charlotte, which is a spin-off of Bridgerton, kind of focusing on the Queen in the show, Lady Danbury also appears in that show, and there's quite a few scenes that take place in her bedroom in that, and it's not this bedroom, but that's kind of the bedroom I had in mind when I was building this house. So it's kind of a funny layout the way that I did this. Basically, there's no windows in her actual bedroom. The 2 windows that are in this room are technically in the bathroom / walk-in wardrobe area. I don't really know why I did that. It's just kind of what I had to do based on where the windows were on the outside of the house. So I just ran with it, and that's what I did. But anyway, I don't really know. I think it turned out cute. I did this kind of cool thing with the like makeshift 4-poster bed that I did with columns and fences and kind of a raised platform area around the bed. I think it turns out pretty cute. But anyway, all that being said, I have rambled long enough. I'm coming towards the end of this video. I'm going to wrap up this voiceover right here, and I'm going to leave you with some screenshots, a bit of music to play out the rest of the video. And before I go, I just want to remind you guys that you can absolutely download this build from the gallery. My gallery ID will be in the description and in a pinned comment at the top of the comment section. And if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a comment, maybe suggest what I should build next. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. One of my next videos is going to be me building the Featherington house, another one from Bridgerton, and I am very excited about that one. I have a good feeling about that one. I haven't built it yet, but I have a lot of plans for it. I've already done floor plans and taken screenshots and all that. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have an amazing day wherever you're watching this from. Let me know where you're watching this from. I love to do that. I love asking where you guys are from. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Have a beautiful day wherever you're watching this from, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.